Since the last video, I've been working on a system to allow the player to buy up land to expand their lumber mill. Sorry there was no video last week. I've been travelling to New Zealand to visit family and haven't had much time to work on the video. I'm going to be quite busy, so while I'm over here I'll be aiming to upload every other Friday. As I'll have a bit more of a gap between videos, I'll have a bit more time to think about what to implement next, so if you have any ideas or suggestions, do leave a comment as I'd love to hear them. I started by making a button in the Lumbermill interface that will open up the land management interface. I made use of the Unity line renderer component to draw outlines for each of the patches of land which I developed last week. The first problem I had was that the lines weren't forming an outline and were more forming a sort of hourglass shape. That was because I hadn't placed the points of the line in the right order and was as simple as switching over two of the points in the code. With the outlines forming nicely, next I had to figure out how to actually position the outlines over each patch of land rather than simply placing them at the origin. I did this by multiplying the start point of each outline by the width and the height of each patch. Here you can see that just about worked, but for some reason the outlines didn't reach the edges of the map. This was because the number of patches must be divisible by the side length of the map, and 35 is definitely not divisible by 3. I changed the side length of the map to 30 and that worked fine. I then created a button for each patch of land to allow the player to buy it. This worked just about, but when the game unlocked adjacent patches for purchase, all the positioning for the patches went straight out the window and the game started selling me land that just didn't exist. I discovered that I'd kinda stupidly used Unity's translate method to position the outlines, rather than explicitly setting the position each time, which meant that with each patch of land that was bought, the outlines were translated further and further away from their actual target position. I then decided that it might look better if outline squares were filled somehow, rather than simply being an outline. I made a white diamond in Photoshop which could be resized to fit patches of any size and set to any colour using Unity's sprite renderer. I experimented a little with the appearance and settled on a rather bright green colour. I ended up changing that anyway, but it was worth the experimentation. Moving on from the appearance of the patches, I discovered that the fences I implemented last week weren't indicating the outline of the owned land correctly, and in most cases simply showed one of the sides of the fences not being there. It turned out that the fence tiles were simply just stacking on top of each other, as I'd forgotten to call the reposition method on them, which sets the position of all the tiles in the game. As you can see here, whenever a patch of land is bought now, the fences adjust correctly, where all of the land outside of the boundary fence is inaccessible to the player until it is bought. As a finishing touch, I added a title bar to the interface to highlight more clearly to the player when they're in the land management mode. It also serves as a way to exit the mode easily. If you like this video, remember to subscribe, and if you have anything to say, please leave a comment. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the next update video. Thanks for watching.